Hela is one of my favorite ones they've ever done. Number one, because she was not a guarantee. They don't typically, they're stingy with the female characters. And I mean, she was the Marvel villains don't frequently get big releases and stuff, but
they should. Did they make a Mads Mikkelsen with the purple eyes? That's so amazing.
But the face sculpt is exquisite. It's in many fans' top 10. My big gripe is I don't know what body this is.
Yeah.
The body is so boxy.
She's very thick in a way that Cate Blanchett
is not. She is so thin in this movie, and she's got her hips are so pronounced. And because Black Widow's body isn't even the Pepper has an hourglass, and I don't know where they get off. And so that's one of the reasons why I pose her this way, is to create the illusion of shape.
Yeah.
And I take the cape off one shoulder, just to make it seem more regal. But I wish she came with two heads. I wish she had one head with the hair down and one head with the antlers.
I agree.
And she does have the hammer breaking, but I find it the dramatics of this pose are what I've chosen.
Well, the fire was also loose, so we needed to put it somewhere.
The eternal flame. And then, obviously, weirdly, I didn't order this Thor. I didn't pre-order him, and then I didn't get him until he was almost sold out. I had to wait on a wait list for one to become available, and he ended up being one of my top 5 favorite figures.
He's pretty good.
I love the pink. I like the colors, the cape. I weirdly do. I think the face sculpt is great. And then he comes with the helmet, and it even does the kushunk thing, but you have to take the hair off to do it, and Kristen loves it.
No, I'll hold the base. It looks like you're just taking his skull off.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
This is So I'm Watching This Show, your twice weekly pop culture podcast where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. And as always, this is a spoiler show, so you have been warned. On today's episode, we are continuing our journey. We're completing our journey.
I mean, we could do an episode on the one scene at the beginning of Infinity War, but that feels like a little much.
He's in Infinity War and Endgame.
He's not in Endgame.
He is in Endgame. The only way that we're getting the show is because he's in Endgame.
In the past. Right. I was like, you're wrong. But
we were watching the Thor movies to prepare for Loki on Disney Plus, which you can watch along with us this summer. All 6 episodes. We will be getting our coverage in week 2 with episode 1 and 2. And then going for the next 4 weeks because Disney is stingy with their...
I know that it would never, ever, ever happen, but in deep down in my heart, I want Tom Hiddleston to get a network drama that runs for 8 years.
I thought you were going to be he wanted them to be surprise, there's 10 episodes.
No, that would be amazing.
Loki.
But
well, when they made that announcement, they were moving it from
the Friday to Wednesday.
That was so stupid. Yeah. I was hoping that he was going to be just kidding, it's starting now. Okay, the focus of today's episode is Thor Ragnarok. It is the 3rd in the Thor series, and many people's favorite.
Yeah.
What were you the god of again?
This, again, I've loved more every time I've seen it. It's so funny. I think you get more from it every viewing, different things from it every viewing. And yeah.
What do you think makes it better? Is it just simply that Taika Waititi directed it?
100%.
Or
100%. It's funnier. It's sharper. It's more colorful. There's a mood to it that's
it has
not
an identifiable style in a way that, as much as we love the MCU,
Valkyrie's in it. Hela's in it. That lighting rig happens in this movie. Yeah, all of it.
You're very Stefan here.
This Thor movie has everything.
What was it?
Dan Cortez.
Dan Cortez.
Needless to say, this place has everything. Skunks, K-fobs, Cookie Crisp, Dan Cortez.
Right.
It has a lot. It has a lot of returning and new characters, none of whom feel gypped. It's a real mastery, but we really love the MCU. However, one of the complaints that's been, lobbed against it is that it is sort of bland and dour. The color correction's kind of gray. I mean, it's not dour in a DC.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a real, like, I don't know. That's like a complaint that I wouldn't make because we do there. I mean, I guess the way that I would say it is there's lots of like reds and not a lot of other colors.
It's not particularly snazzy.
Yeah.
It is very sort of, and I think that's part of how it's been able to be as broad and successful as it is and was.
Sure.
And I think now it could have happened. Well, we started in Guardians where we started to deviate from the system.
Yeah.
But with this, I mean, we got that first poster for Ragnarok,
which is
chakras.
Unbelievable.
It was just a game changer for posters, like because we were getting really stagnant with poster designs and stuff.
Oh my God! Did you guys know that orange and blue look good together?
Also, I mean, I love a tableau. Don't get me wrong, but it was just sort of like and it is a tableau, but it had like a dynaticism and like the whole thing. This entire movie has a very retro by way of the future feel that I love immediately. And there was a thing I had been asking for it for a long time, and I got it with this movie. But I was like, I would love to have like a really rad, like sword and sandals, like 70s, 80s, Frank Frazetta, Boris Vallejo, like dare I say Excalibur, like the painted on the side of a van, like the airbrushed on the side of a van in the 70s. I've wanted a movie about that, like a John Carter of Mars, like all that kind of, and they've attempted to do it little bits here and there, but not the aesthetic, and the aesthetic is the point.
And that's what I think it takes, like a weird dude from New Zealand to make it happen.
Well, and especially like in a post-Sin City world, we know that kind of avant-garde filmmaking can work, but yet no one would do it. I don't know why. I don't know why it took people this long to figure out that just balls to the wall fantasy is amazing. People are always trying to like ground fantasy or
the problem is that this balls to the wall fantasy works because it's in an existing universe. People don't want to just watch balls to the wall fantasy, and so it won't make money. We do. General people don't want that.
Like
it's weird.
No, there's the scene. So we open with Surtur. Surtur's fine, but immediately, like right away, this is different.
Very funny.
Yeah,
because he just keeps swirling around.
My time has come. When my crown is reunited with the eternal flame, I shall be restored to my full might. I will tower over the mountains and bury my sword deep in Asgard.
Hang on. Give it a second. I swear, I'm not even moving. It's just doing this on its own. I'm really sorry.
Oh, and there's this through line, this running joke of Thor, where he's sort of, you can tell that he's really learned from his time on Earth. It reminds me very much of Fenn from The Magicians.
Sure.
Where he's doing his best to sort of keep up with everybody.
Yeah.
And he is like he's understanding the broad strokes of things, because it's like when he's talking to Banner about the PhDs, and he knows it's significant.
Yeah.
And he knows that it's like useful.
That it like qualifies him for something.
And so he like says to Banner at one point, he's like, use one of your PhDs for this.
To fly the alien spacecraft.
like it's a token or like a totem that he's acquired. And so you kind of have these moments where we get to see Thor sort of in between worlds, where he's like got 1 foot in the human world and 1 foot in his world. And frankly, I mean, a foot in other fantasy worlds and stuff. So it's all very cool, but he's being pursued by a dragon through these like flaming molten cliffs and stuff. And the effect, I don't know what it is, but it looks like a miniature. It looks like the movies from the 70s and 80s where they're filming miniatures, like Star Wars going through like the ice planet of Hoth.
Yeah.
But I think on some level there are miniatures involved, but also, I mean, it is actually like Chris Hemsworth's performance. There is a digital quality to it, but it has this sort of tilt shift appeal that I just kind of want more of. kind of not unlike Bram Stoker's Dracula, how it looks very much
Okay.
like an old movie,
Yeah.
but also feels very modern.
Modern, yeah.
And
That's
I
one
just
of my
like,
that is one of my favorite movies for effects, if I'm being honest.
it's so
Yeah.
it's so interesting and effective. And by that it's like I'm fine with the CGI in this movie. I don't think that this movie needs to be done using solely practical effects, but I just enjoy seeing
Something practical.
there was a texture. There was something in the atmosphere that was lacking in Thor Dark World.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Even though they filmed in actual Iceland.
And I mean, immediately we get Karl Urban as Scourge. He's great. I love these like Asgard chickies that he's trying to impress. Like just right out of the gate, the tone in this is so much better. I love how savvy Thor is in this movie.
Yeah. He's really good at putting together a plan in this movie. He plans and executes multiple plans that actually go the way he's hoping.
And he's getting like curves thrown at him.
Yeah.
And at no point is he not in control. Like he is in total control of this plan.
He learned from Loki. He learned to cover all his bases.
He really did. This is where we've reached peak himbo with him because
Yeah.
it is sort of like the golden retriever. And I love that he also at times is just counting, like Thor is counting on his own charisma.
Mm-hmm.
He just like, especially with Banner when he's constantly trying to calm him down.
It's the only part of the lullaby that he remembers is the sun's getting real low. So he just keeps saying,
Well, that's what
sun's
she's
getting real low.
Sun's going down, it's getting really low. Sun's going down. Sun's going down. Sun's going down, it's getting really low. Sun's getting low.
Would you stop saying that?
I just need you to stay calm.
Sun's going down.
Going down.
Sun's going
It's
down.
going down.
And then Mark Ruffalo's performance in this is so funny. He's doing like mid 2000s Michael Cera. He has
Sure.
this like twitchy.
Yeah.
And it is the performance of someone who was thrown in the back trunk, like locked in the trunk of their car by their alter ego.
Yeah.
And both of them too, because I love Thor dealing with Hulk. And then how adaptable Thor is on a dime to then deal with Banner.
Yeah.
And that he is savvy enough to be able to appeal to both of their strengths and weaknesses.
Uh-huh.
You're Banner's friend.
Not Banner's friend, I prefer you.
Banner's friend.
I don't even like Banner. I'm into numbers and science and stuff.
Wait, you're just using me to get to the Hulk. It's gross.
What? No,
You don't care about me. You're not my friend.
No, I don't even like the Hulk. He's all
Really?
like, smash. I prefer you.
Thanks.
Also, I love that the movie just canonically acknowledges that Banner's packing.
Well, he at least has more dick than Tony.
He's like tugging at his crotch the entire
Tony wears his pants so tight.
But I love how Tony, the outfit is. Like, I want a Bruce Banner wearing that like
Sure.
80s, like Duran Duran. Like,
I get it.
I wanted to go back to your boy. I'm so glad we did this, even though twofold, because I obviously remember the broad strokes of Loki's journey, but it was nice to go back and visit it, sort of focusing on Loki, because I was giving Loki and you, I was putting the two of you through the ringer a bit.
Why do you like that war criminal, Kristen? Because look at his face.
In Avengers.
No, it's absolutely, you know what it absolutely is it's that one Bob's Burgers where Felix is trying to, Mr. Fishoder's brother Felix is trying to kill Bob and Mr. Fishoder because he wants to sell the wharf. And at the very end, Bob is like, well, isn't he going to prison? And Mr. Fishoder just goes,
We can't send him to jail. He'd hate it there.
He tried to kill us.
Not really.
oh my God, no, he'd hate it there. And I'm just like, he'd hate prison.
I mean, it sucks that it's like so many of Loki's victims are like nameless and faceless because we can just gloss right over it. But
He killed 80 people in 2 days, but we didn't know any of them.
But I find it interesting when we get to, and we get right to it, the Loki's betrayal of taking over Odin's.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It's hilarious.
I find it interesting that seemingly Loki has always wanted power and the throne, and he's willing to go to such lengths and depths for it, especially in Avengers, but that when he gets it, by all accounts, like, he doesn't seem necessarily to be a fantastic king, but Asgard is in working order.
He also says Asgard is prospering. He says that, and I feel like I mean, I know he's a trickster, but I feel like he wouldn't say that if he weren't able to back it up.
So often, especially with villains, their evil plans are so destructive, but I love that Loki just wants to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
So once he's Odin,
Classic youngest child.
he just sort of erects statues and throws parties and like dedicates plays to himself. The play.
It's so good.
Especially the moment where the choir comes in. I don't know if it's Odin or Loki. I don't know if it's Hiddleston or Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was written or directed. But between all of those elements, I love that he's playing Odin kind of gay.
Yes, yeah. Well, Loki's kind of gay.
Very mincing.
Yeah.
It's
Honestly, I swear to God, probably my favorite performance in Anthony Hopkins' entire career is when he sees Thor and just goes, oh shit.
Father?
Oh, shit.
My son Thor has returned. Greetings, my boy.
It's too funny. It's too funny.
It is. It is too funny. I remember being in the theater and being like, oh, I'm not prepared.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought I would be, but
Tom Hiddleston really likes it when the other actors have to be him because he like loved when Chris Evans did it.
I was going to say, we didn't mention the Chris Evans. It was so good where he's
good.
like,
it makes me, don't you just smell patriotism?
He was like, I'd love to talk about bravery and like truth in the American way. And it's so good. But no, I think that's very interesting that is what he did with this power that he craves.
Yeah.
And
well, he made Asgard worship him as a martyr.
So at what point did Thor figure it out?
Oh, like immediately. Yeah,
and he just was letting it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Odin could be having like a midlife crisis after his wife died, but like it doesn't feel.
Odin seems like a old queen, like a big old dramatic bitch.
Yeah, but Odin wouldn't have put on a play about the tragedy of Loki of Asgard. That's my point.
I also like that Thor has a line literally, it's with Doctor Strange where he says, my hair is not to be meddled with. And I was like, what do you think about Doctor Strange in this?
I like it. I like Doctor Strange. I know that a lot of people are like, on Doctor Strange, but I think it's one of the more interesting, like, idea-wise of the movies. And I also love Benedict Cumberbatch.
I think the Doctor Strange movie is fine, but I like Doctor Strange as a character, and I like what he brings into.
Sure. I like Doctor Strange after he stops being a total asshole for the first 40 minutes of the movie, and he makes Rachel McAdams cry. Once that's over, I like him a lot better.
I mean, but this movie, so we have Hulk is properly in this movie.
Yeah.
So we have Thor, Loki, we have Valkyrie. We'll get to her in a second. We'll get to her right now. Her performance and her character is so good and so welcome and so it feels like she's always been there. It's wild to me to think that she's in 2 movies.
Yeah, that does feel like not enough.
She's in Ragnarok and Endgame.
That does feel like not enough, for sure. That is weird. I didn't clock that.
And I mean, I think that's good. I think that's a talent, especially considering at the time we didn't like Tessa Thompson, but Tessa Thompson let us know that we were incorrect.
I maintain that she got new representation. That was like, you're not getting cast correctly.
So for those who are new,
do this instead.
We never thought that she was cast appropriately.
It was until we decided earlier, because I looked at her IMDb, Westworld was the first thing where I was like, oh, you're good. Because before that, I just was like, like what? Like, you're not right for this role. I don't like the way you're playing it. And it's like,
and when we heard she was cast as Valkyrie, I was like,
yeah, we all kind of were like, and then we saw it and we were like, no.
Well, because it's a character that very, very easily could be it's the female cop with the French braid that we always talk about. It's like the chip on her shoulder, like been wronged, like badass chickie role.
Well, she's a drunk. You know,
well, that
all of her comrades are dead.
But I mean, that's what we like going in. We were thinking, oh, this is going to be miserable.
Sure.
But then when we get that, the drunk actually helps.
Yeah,
He's mine.
Her introduction is so funny and so interesting. The Sakaar stuff alone is is so, it's just a jolt of life into both Thor, into this franchise and the MCU in general.
Yeah. All of the, what is her name? You said Topaz?
Topaz.
Okay, Rachel House. All of the Jeff Goldblum and Rachel House stuff is, I can't even explain, because she's so deadpan the whole time.
And it's really easy for her performance to go under the radar.
Yeah. But like, especially the first time when like Loki interrupts and he's like, don't interrupt me. And she starts handing him the melty stick. And he's like, that's not a capital offense, interrupting. It's hilarious.
We talk a lot about world building on our show. And I mean, the implications of world building, of mythos in this are so vast. Because you're immediately trying to imagine. They make one comment about the white marks on Valkyrie's eyes being the people that she's killed. And that's all they say to
he asks if that's what it is. Yeah.
But the implication, if that is true, is that these marks, because Topaz has like a mosaic on her forehead. I want to know who she is, where she came from, what is her relationship to the game Grandmaster. I was like the game maker, the game changer.
We're not doing Hunger Games right now.
The Grandmaster. She's apparently she's someone Taika knew. She's a New Zealand.
She's also from New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand actress that he'd worked with before. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I just love that impulse to fill this movie with that type of character.
Yeah, she did. I was like, there's something else I know her from specifically. She does the grandmother in Moana.
Oh.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah, man.
She was one of the Terrys, or the accountant, little ghost in Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster.
Inspired casting.
It is, because I remember a lot of people being like, Jeff Goldblum's just being Jeff Goldblum.
You're officially pardoned from life.
And
that's the appeal of Jeff Goldblum.
Well, he is, but it also, for whatever reason, I'm not like, this again. Like, we have to suffer through this shtick more. It suits and what they have him wearing, the hair and makeup, the weird. There's this like,
he's got blue fingernail polish.
There's this subtle insinuation that he's like dick down Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And the three of them just kind of have Loki, Thor, and the Grandmaster have this kind of like,
just like they're all making eyes
like,
at each other.
The work that Chris Hemsworth does in this movie, there's a lot of talk about how good looking he is and how funny he is, but especially when he's like strapped into the chair and just like the stuff he's doing with his face and just is like, oh, come here, and he's just like, I'm gonna kill you, and just like
there's so many moments too where Loki is like, I came into the favor of the Grandmaster, and it's like, yeah, bitch, someone came in something. Like, what are we doing here? Rachel's in here, and I made her laugh.
I love the scene on the cliffs of Norway.
Yeah,
that was a reshoot. They originally
the one with the three of them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It's so good.
It was late reshoot because I cannot recall if Cate even reshot her scenes or they just like green screened around her already like filmed. But it was just the nursing home. He was just in the nursing home.
Oh no, that was much better.
To my understanding, I didn't recheck, so don't quote me. We're an entertainment show. We're not a news organization.
We're not a fact checking show.
I think even the Doctor Strange, I think that was added late in production. But if you watch the first trailer, when Hela destroys the hammer, they're just like in a city alleyway. And they were like, it wasn't grand enough.
Yeah.
Because I remember then seeing the second trailer and I was like, ew, why is she just in a field? That's terrible. And then in the context, it's so powerful.
It's much better.
Like that scene, both scenes with Odin proper really get me in this. And
Odin Prime.
Cate Blanchett in this movie.
Yeah. That's it.
This is like Meryl Streep, all the level. This is a role that so many actresses would just come in and just blah. And the way that she, even us in the audience, she's like, she commands the screen so that I want her approval and not the other way around.
Sure.
Like someone coming into, especially a character like this where it's like, who the hell are you? Where did you come?
Yeah.
What? And the way she comes in and is just sort of like, I'm here, you know, Neil, I've arrived.
Neil.
Beg your pardon.
Neil. Before your queen.
It just, I feel like I need to prove myself to her. And it works to so many characters.
We wouldn't be able to.
No, but the way that she's able, like, to make 3-course meals out of just basic exposition.
Yeah.
And, like, when and I hate that it was kind of ruined for us in the trailers. It's the kind of thing that we need to get excited for the movie. And luckily for us, the movie delivered in spades. But again, I'm so happy for people who get to watch this with no context, because when she catches the hammer, let alone destroy it, it is shocking.
Well,
because they've done such a good job establishing.
In this trailer, you only see her catch it, right?
No, you see her shattering it.
Just okay.
Well, I mean, it's like you see it breaking.
It's like starting to.
The line reading, the delivery of the you have no idea what's possible. Like, it's so good. The way that she slithers. And she's doing this, like, I have no other way to describe it other than say gay. It's gay. Whatever she's doing, it's gay. It's drag. It's camp. There's just, like, something about it.
Her whole vibe is very queer all across.
And I also just love the implications that, like, Thor is the odd one out.
Yeah.
The whole time we've been approaching this, like, Loki is the, like, misfit, but it's like, no, Thor is like the football player in a family of, like, theater goths. And the design, it's one of the few places that, like, I am a little bit critical of some of the MCU costume designs. I think that all of these people, up to and including the cosmic deities, all look like they go to the same tailor. That being said, they did the antlers. I love it so much. I remember when they said that they were putting her in it, because I only had a very base familiar of her, and there's a comic panel where she's, like, naked. She has the helmet, but she's, like, naked and pregnant, and I was like, oof, this is gonna be like,
that's gonna be a lot to take. A lot to take.
But I think she was so good. I think even her at Asgard, just sort of, like, checking her nails, and she's like, it's come to my attention, you have no idea who I am.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it's like, how are you still the one in power? Like,
yeah,
no one knows who she is, but she's still the most powerful one in the room. And I'm talking about social cues. I'm not talking about physical power, but yeah, I love Scourge working for her. I love Fenris.
Yeah, the
Fenris.
bulls.
Yeah. It just there's still so much more. The Gladiator, the Hulk stuff.
I think one of my favorite lines from that is, it's not the he's a friend from work, although that is very funny, but I love after he smashes Thor into the wall one time and he's like, you're embarrassing me. I told all these people we were friends.
You're embarrassing me. I told them we were friends.
He's like so mad. I know, it's so good.
And I love watching Loki watch it.
Oh my god.
When Hulk walks out, Loki's like, I need to get out of here
immediately.
And seeing Loki truly be not in control.
Yeah.
Like the fear.
At one point he literally, like, leans back in the thing and he's like it's
like
so funny.
Full-blown crisis.
Well, and the Grandmaster keeps looking at him like, why aren't you excited?
And I love when he inevitably does go to betray Thor, how proud of himself he is.
Yeah.
And Thor is just like,
he's like, it's truly nothing personal. And it's like, yeah, bitch, but we Ben knew, and Thor, like, has one up on him this
he's
time.
like, you're getting boring.
Yeah.
He was like, this is getting tired. And
all he does is betray Thor and stab him.
And Loki's genuinely, like, thrown. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Am I? Like,
which is why it's so satisfying when at the end he, like, actually shows up properly, like he's supposed to. It's so good. I can forgive war crimes.
We know. The knife thing.
Ugh.
It's not in the movie.
I don't care.
That's so weird to me.
He's doing it in the trailers for the show too. He does it in almost all of them, yeah. It's so hot. It's always slow motion. And it's just
There's so many dynamics because there's Thor and Hulk, there's Hulk and Valkyrie, there's Thor and Banner, there's Valkyrie and Banner. I love Banner wrapping his mind around Valkyrie. He was like,
she's so beautiful and scary and courageous, and
I love how they like connect both times, and it's kind of like the I like you too.
Well, they both are like, I feel like I know you. And they just can't remember.
My favorite is when they finally agree to like the Revengers. And Banner's like, but seriously, who is she? And he's like, I'll explain later. And she's like, so who is he? And he's like, I'll explain later. And it's just in plain view of everybody. Yeah. And Loki's just sitting in the like it is farcical. One of the first notes I wrote is I was like, this movie is so Laurel and Hardy, and I just like I love it. I love how synthy the score is. When we were talking about Sakaar, I was gonna say that it like you can tell that they really went all in on the like comic book designs from like the 60s, the Jack Kirby, all the colors, all the like very bold shapes and stuff. The Valkyrie scene. It lasts for maybe 30 seconds.
It's definitely not as long as I wish it was.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And they know. They were the second they got it, they're like, we got this. It was in the trailers. It was like, I remember Kevin Smith like creaming his pants over this movie, and he was like, I never in my wildest dreams thought I was going to get like Valkyries on winged horses. And
900 frames per second and a special 360-degree lighting rig of 200 strobe lights to make the scene look as disorienting as possible. That's like what
so she's like, there's footage of it, but Tessa's like on a trampoline, and there's like this lighting rig around it, and it's all just firing one after the other. And in real life, it's just like, like it's almost like one flash. And
there's like test footage because Taika and Stu are friends, and so there's test footage of him doing like a backflip, Taika doing a backflip while the light happens.
And like at one point, they have like a dummy horse.
Yeah.
And they're just like sort of jumping, trying to get this like flying through the air.
It looks amazing.
The silhouette of Hela, the swords, like, oh, it's all so good. Will made a comment, your husband made a comment about like, where's this, prequel?
Yeah.
And all I'm saying. Yeah. We also have it says Jorge, my autocorrect. I was like, who was Jorge? Good Korg and Meek.
Yeah. I love Korg because it's Taika, and his deliveries are so funny. His whole attitude is because he's very even, like personality wise. He's not like crazy, and he's not like depressed. He just is like, oh yeah, tried to do a revolution, didn't work out.
Well, again, it's so familiar.
Yeah.
That I can't believe that he's only in 2 movies. It feels like an old friend. And it's like part of it's Taika Waititi, like his personal talent, but some of it's also, it's like whatever this race is, like maybe they're just like this.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
And then Meek in the background all the time, just being like with his like knife arms.
I never really noticed that until you guys pointed it out this
time. He's
always
in the background, just like backing them up.
Because there's like a scene where he's sort of just like kicking in the air and just slicing. Like
it's great.
Because it's the scene where Thor sees sees Valkyrie and goes on that thing about how he always wanted to be a Valkyrie. And that scene is so funny.
That is like his peak respect women juice moment.
He was like, I love women, sometimes a little too much. And he's like,
not in a creepy way.
That was sexist. I shouldn't have said that. And just like the whole journey where it's like, just you're fine. You are fine. The Sakaar intro video.
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, it's like I just love
like
that it's like
perverted Epcot.
But it's and then in the background the World of Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka is playing, and it's so funny. Yeah.
You are now meeting the Grand Master.
Well, because that implies it's like in his mind.
Yeah, because he comes out the other end of it screaming in a room full of people.
I think the final battle's great. I love the scene where Hela like has him by the throat and she's, you know, like menacing him and like, what were you the god of? And it cuts to Odin. And I just love he's having that like moment, the like, I can't do it. I'm too weak and I don't have my hammer. And I just love the line, are you Thor, the god of hammers?
Are you Thor, the god of hammers?
It's very
Because it's so like, because we're right there with him. You know what I mean? Like, because the whole movie, anytime he tries, he just gets like little sparkles in his fingers. But
the Grandmaster is calling him Sparkles like half the time.
Lord of Thunder.
Yeah.
You take this thing out of my neck and I'll show you.
Oh, listen to that. He's threatening me. Hey, Sparkles, here's the deal. You want to get back to place, Asperg.
Asgard.
And then we get Immigrant Song. It's fantastic. I'm not going to complain at all. Having said that, I have one complaint. They wanted to score Immigrant Song.
Oh, right. And Led Zeppelin wouldn't let them.
No.
Right? Yeah.
And
most of Led Zeppelin is dead. Just
they talk about it where they're like, and obviously if you've seen the movie, you can tell that was the correct choice. And
no, not necessarily.
It's a fine choice. The correct choice would have been to fully score it for the end battle. Because it's in the movie earlier, and that
it works at the beginning with the Searcher stuff. It works at the beginning.
But no, it should be scored in, because I just like to imagine a full orchestra playing Immigrant Song.
Easily.
But yeah, so Asgard's a people, not a place. And they go to the cliffs of Norway. Could you imagine? Just takes them to a city.
Well, they don't make it.
They end up in the cliffs of Norway.
Some of them do.
It is rude to think that they like, that there mere minutes pass between this movie and
the
Infinity
beginning
War.
of Infinity War, yeah.
They're like, yay, we won!
Yeah. So we could wrap this episode up with that, which is basically, because I said it once before, but obviously, if you've seen all the movies, spoiler alert if you haven't, but Loki does actual die at the beginning of Infinity War. So the Loki that we're going to be with for the whole show is the first Avengers Loki. So he's had zero growth. He's still homicidal. So I've been
fresh off of those war crimes.
Fresh off the war crimes, but just a little like 6 years more haggard for Tom Hiddleston. So I've been trying for since I realized that to make my peace with it, because I'm a little disappointed, if we're being honest. I wonder if like maybe Owen Wilson will just like show him the greatest hits to be like, this is what was supposed to happen.
Well, I mean, like, but that doesn't earn the growth.
No, but maybe it would like
inspire.
knowing he was capable of it would inspire the growth in him.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I think the whole point of the show is that he has to fix the mistakes that he's now made in time by taking the Tesseract and jumping back again. Trying so hard to make my peace with it, because
we'll see.
The Loki that ends up at the end of Ragnarok is like god tier for me, like character growth for me, and it's just like now it's like the opposite of that Natasha Rothwell give. Ungrowth.
I just wrote down, I was like, the impact of Loki's betrayals on Thor, because there's a handful of points in this movie where Thor is like really...
Yeah, like when they're in the elevator before they do get help, and Loki is like, I'm sure you'd rather like just leave me here or whatever, and he basically is like, I thought the world of you. Like, I thought we were going to be together forever doing this and fighting side by side, but you ruined it. And I just, like, you can see how there's several moments in this movie.
Chris Hemsworth is a good actor.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. I was never claiming otherwise. But there's multiple moments in this movie, that the scene with Odin, that scene in the elevator, the scenes at the end, like when he's actually there and he catches the thing that Thor throws. All of those moments, he like, you can tell that Loki is like, oh, I have definitely made mistakes. But my favorite moment is when Thor tells the snake story.
There was one time when we were children, he transformed himself into a snake, and he knows that I love snakes. So I went to pick up the snake to admire it, and he transformed back into himself, and he was like, yeah, it's me. And he stabbed me. We were 8 at the time.
And then it cuts back to Loki, and he's just smiling, because I love the implication that is one of Loki's like fondest memories of his brother relationship with Thor. And Thor is like, you stabbed me though. And Loki's just like, but that's my love language.
And for people who are unfamiliar, there's a famous Greek myth about like Hera sending snakes to kill baby Hercules, and he like strangles them. And so it's like, that's sort of a trope. And so you think that's where it's going, that he like turned into a snake and then like bit Thor. And I love
he turned back into a little boy.
Back into himself. He said, what? Because Thor's like, because he knows how I love snakes.
So I picked up the snake to admire it.
And then he turned back to himself and said, it's me. And then
and then he goes, we were 8 at the time.
And Bruce and Valkyrie watching it, because Valkyrie's sort of like, oh, and Bruce is like,
oh my God. It's so good. It's too good.
There's so many layers.
Yeah.
There's so many. We didn't even talk about Valkyrie's armor. It's so cool.
It's amazing.
The white and blue, the platinum. We didn't talk about the orgy ship. It's my birthday. All the fireworks. It's so good. It is too good.
Well, and then the fireworks do go off twice because if Valkyrie is anything, she is a fabulous bitch, and she presses that button again so that she's got a good backdrop for her like
to slow-mo hero walk into the final battle.
Very good.
So anyways, well, we hope you enjoyed your trip down memory lane, MCU lane with us.
Loki memory lane.
And hopefully you join us for our Loki coverage. And hopefully we enjoy it.
Yeah.
We enjoyed WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. That's not to say we didn't have things to say.
So I'm anticipating in this moment that I'm going to be extremely forgiving of any flaws just because I'll be able to watch Tom Hiddleston for an hour for 6 weeks in a row.
Oh, I meant to ask you, do you count Black Widow in this?
Nah.
I kind of do.
Well, it's previously shot footage. That's not new.
I don't really know that. Okay.
Yeah, because when he's that transmission,
I know she said that, but I don't remember
it cuts off in Ultron when he's flying away. They're trying to get him to turn back in the ship, and that footage is in it. And then it cuts off because he gets out of the like range. Well, you can follow us on Twitter @SoI'mWatching or Instagram @SoI'mWatchingThisShow. We also have a website, soimwatching.com, which links out to everything, including our Patreon, which we are currently treating like a little tip jar. So if you like what you see, you can go and throw us a couple bucks, and then hopefully at some point we'll be able to make more things for you. So yeah, other than that, you can rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or YouTube or wherever you listen. And that's it for us. Bye!